Hey guys, Krootman here, and in this video I wanted to talk about BC250 profitability. Now, I have been working with PCSP. They did send me a review unit to test and to play around with, so I do want to put that as a disclaimer, but I did purchase one of these on my own. I've been talking about these a lot because they are so cheap and because I'm working with PCSP, but people have been asking me, they're like, Krootman, what is the profitability of these things? And I said for about 2 weeks that I would release a video, and here I am. I am going to release that profitability video today. Now, I do want to put a bunch of disclaimers in here. This data is going to be a rough guide. It's basically going to be as accurately inaccurate as I can get you, because there are a lot of factors that go into the BC250 that you may not notice right away. For example, these things cost $650 used. Now, in my experience, the unit that I was sent was basically brand new, and other people have said that as well, so keep that in mind. But you will, in addition, you will need 12 M.2s and 12 Ethernet cables, as well as, in my opinion, you will need this fan modification, as it will make the BC250 go from ASIC level loud to GPU level quiet, and is a must in my opinion. As well as it will also shave off about 60 watts because you go from 5 fans to 3. So like with the price, with mining on these things, there are things that you have to consider as far as calculating profitability that you may not see right away. So the first thing you may not realize with the BC250, and I want to put the graphic right over here, is that you notice up there that it has a CPU and a GPU mining. But in HiveOS, it only takes into account the power of the GPU. So you are not getting anywhere near close to accurate power readings on HiveOS. Now, I would strongly recommend that you have your BC250s plugged into either a metered outlet, as you can see right here, or a metered PDU, so you can get some kind of accurate power draw. So unless you have the ability to take each individual CPU or GPU out and plug them into a PMD and plug them into their own power supply and set fans up to cool them, which I have done I did that a while ago, it would be very, very difficult to get the exact readings. I'm not going to bother doing that in this video. In this video, I am going to assume that each BC250 full rig, now I'm talking fans and all 12 GPU, CPUs, etc., do 2300 watts. Now, the reason I'm saying 2300 watts is because 2400 is the max it can do. Now, I have seen people and talked to people who have told me that if you mine on the CPU and you mine on the core and the memory of the GPU, you can easily crank this thing over 2400 watts, the rig in total. And I would not recommend doing that unless you replace the PSUs that come in the rig, which I have not done. So I would very much only recommend mining on either a core algorithm or a memory algorithm along with the CPU. Now, obviously, like I said, I would recommend everybody get their own calculations, but if you are looking to buy this thing to determine profitability, you cannot go wrong assuming 2300 watts. And frankly, that's what I usually do when trying to figure out if something is worth mining or not. Also, remember that the profitability numbers that I'm about to tell you, they're pretty accurate, but there are some caveats, like with something like Cubic, and that these numbers will change daily. So without further ado, let's get to it. But remember, if you want to purchase one of these, please, in the shipping comments, when you add info, please put that you got this from Krootman, and there will be an option at the end to say, where did you find us? And please check the box, Krootman Tech and Mining. It very much helps me with the channel, and it helps improve my relationship with this great company. Without further ado, let's get to the profitability. All right, so the first thing I want to go over is my power cost. So how I calculated it. You basically have to do the watts to kilowatt hours calculation, and 2300 watts equals 1,711 kilowatt hours over 31 days. So you divide 1711 by 31. You get 55 kilowatt hours per day. At my current rate, 10 cents kilowatt hours, each BC250 comes out to about $5.50 per day in terms of power cost. So I split these both up to see which would be more profitable. Now I will go over each rig individually. So let's start with the first rig, BC250 rig number 1. It is all on Warthog. Now, essentially, I just calculated the amount of wart I got over the last 3 days. Just to I couldn't really go further back and be 100% accurate, as I had more than one thing on wart for a little bit. So I figured 3 days is fine. All the numbers change so much anyway. You can see I made about $6, between $6.86 and $6.07 a day. Now, it is dual mining ZIL. Now, there is no good ZIL calculator, and this ZIL number is very rough, so keep that in mind. But what I basically did was I took my entire farm per day, and I divided it by the number of GPUs I had. The majority of my GPUs do about the same thing in ZIL. Again, this is not accurate, but I just wanted to give you some kind of idea. I would argue that this is probably within like 75th percentile accurate. So it comes out to about 50 cents a day in ZIL earnings for each one of these 12 card rigs. So you can see that my per day average is about $6.80, which means this rig right now, this thing is making about $1 per day, assuming that my kilowatt hour usage, that it costs $5 a day to mine with. The second one is on Cubic and Ironfish. Now I do want to state that this was basically a gamble. So essentially I figured out that it would take $5.50 per day in power costs to run my rig, which comes out to essentially about, on a 7-day schedule, comes out to about $38.50. So I thought that the current Cubic Epoch, which Cubic is its own beast, but the little bit I know that it was going to be a very difficult epoch. So it seemed like every soul would be worth about $13 each, give or take, because I've seen epochs like this before. So I figured if I could find 2 to 3 souls in a 1 week period, it would be worth it. Now, it was a gamble, but I figured out that I'd be making about, $3.70-ish. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less on Ironfish, give or take. So I really only, so knowing that, right, to make a profit, basically, if I was going to make about $3.71 times 7, I'd be making about $25. So I basically had to find one soul to be profitable. Now, I knew that was a calculated risk, and there's no way to quantify that. So it's basically what you feel comfortable with. So you could do something, that's more stable like a Warthog, or you could take a riskier play like this. So I figured, why not? Let's do it. So far I've found 2 souls. This was filmed on Monday the 21st, which means I have about 2 more days left to see if I could find any more. So based on only finding 2 souls this week, this rig will make about $1.90 per day. Now, I want to stress that the cubic number is a guess based on how much the souls will be worth based on previous epochs. The iron and the wart numbers are pretty accurate, as I'm just using calculators for those. And like I said, my ZIL numbers are very, 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 very rough, but it was the best I could do. And I could be overestimating how much power I'm using, but I want to be better safe than sorry. And when you're looking to buy one of these, you won't have accurate data. So I'm trying to give you as accurately inaccurate data as I can, so you guys can make a rough guesstimate on whether or not a BC250 is worth buying for you. So anyway, if we compare these current profitability numbers, $1.30 and $1.90 versus, say, current GPUs in the current terrible market. Now, keep in mind, Zealous isn't in here, and Zealous is more profitable than all of these, but there's no way to tell how much your GPUs will individually make on Zealous. The 4080 Super, which you could say is costed similarly or a little bit more than the BC250. So we'll use that, right? So right now it's getting 30 cents per day. Let's assume that that's off by about 30% because I don't trust hashrate.no's numbers. So let's just say it's getting about 48 cents per day. So you can compare 48 cents per day, right? And then let's just assume it's wrong again, and let's just say Zealous makes another 20%, right? So let's add an additional 50% just to be safe. So let's assume that maybe Zealous makes 50% more. Now, this is just me spitballing just to get my point across. So 37 cents times 1.50, you get about 55 cents a day. So let's just say this rig is making about 55, or a single 4080 Super is making about 55 cents per day. Well, right now, your BC250 mine are either making $1.90 with the riskier play or $1.30 at the more stable play, which is Warthog. So you could argue that the BC250 is actually the most profitable GPU out there by far. Now, again, these numbers are rough, okay? I want to stress that. But they will help you understand if you're profitable or not. Now, also keep in mind that my rate is 10 cents kilowatt hour. Say it went up to like 13 cents kilowatt hour, right? So at 13 cents, it would cost me, times 13, it would cost me about $7.15 per day. It would not be profitable at 13 cents. So I think the profitability window right now is like 12-ish cents, give or take. That said, again, these things are real cheap. So it's kind of hard to say that you won't get your money back when the market rebounds in terms of either just reselling these things. I will say that their resale value will not be retail unless you have a fan mod, or until the sell out of these things, which who knows when that will happen. But when the market turns, everything becomes more profitable. And if there's a new coin, like a new Warthog or something, maybe it will be more profitable then as well. But this gives you an idea of, whether or not this thing is worth buying for you. So I can't answer that, only you can. But so far, I'm very happy with the one that I paid for. It ROI'd itself already. So I did not think that was a bad purchase at all. It worked for me. Now, I bought it early during wart days, but you never know. Maybe another wart will come. But again, this thing is so low risk that if you have the right power to be profitable, or if you believe in just holding the coin, maybe it's worth it for you. So thank you again for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more BC250 content. And remember, PCSP is my recommended source to buy these. I will have links down below for all of this. All right, so thanks again. Please like and subscribe. Krootman out.